Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brady and Teresa's trip, Jada's fierce warning, blast from the history and Ava's confession. Days of Our Lives reveal that Jada Hunter will unleash her fury on Bobby Stein aka Everett Lynch, but she's in for another big surprise. During Jada will cloud over Herrick's husband showing up in Salem and cozying up to Stephanie Johnson, Abigail Klein, but Everett will act oblivious about who she is. After Everett claims he's no way been in any kind of relationship with Jada, she'll try to use their engagement print as substantiation and may offer other evidence, too. Stephanie will start to see that there may be further to the story then, especially after Steve Johnson's disquisition putatively proves Everett indeed used to be Bobby. Between a birth instrument and some other documents, Steve will make a satisfying case that Everett and Bobby are the same person. As for Jada, she'll tell Stephanie not to fall for Bobby's charms and advise her to get the heck out of this relationship before he inflicts total misery. Over with Roman Brady, he'll make effects redundant romantic for Kate Roberts Brady by treating her to a lovely private regale. At the bar, Sloane Peterson Brady will throw back some drinks and gripe to Melinda Trask about her entire world being about motherhood now. DOL suckers can also anticipate Teresa Donovan to blow up at Alex Kyriakis, who'll try to explain the whole offer debacle. Alex wasn't ready to pop the question, but he might contend it's only because he wants to consolidate their relationship indeed further and do this right. Although Alex may assure Teresa that he's playing for keeps, she'll be in a delirium as she packs her bags. Alex will have to work overtime to move Teresa that their future is bright and that she shouldn't move out. Of course, Teresa will still head off on a trip with Brady Black latterly since Tate Black can eventually have callers at his juvenile recovery installation. That should bring an occasion for Brady and Teresa to do a little further cling, important to Alex's dismay. As for Trip Johnson, his exposure will be noticed snappily. Kayla Johnson will get updates on Trip no way showing up for his rearmost sanitarium shift, so that should set off some alarm bells. Meanwhile, Trip and Wendy Shin will horrify when they realize shady Officer Goldman surely isn't actually following Rafe Hernandez's instructions. Wendy and Trip will be held hostage at an undisclosed position, so Ava will supplicate Rafe for help. That'll bear Ava to confess the deal she struck with Harris Michaels and her Clyde Weston blackmail dilemma. Ava will hold Clyde responsible for the hijacking drama and push Rafe to find Trip before it's too late. That goes for Wendy as well since she'll be stuck in this mess. February 21st will bring a special day's occasion that's all about the Horton family history. Julie Willems will open up to Leo Stark about Tom Horton and Alice Horton's grand love, so there'll be some recently created flashbacks of a youngish Tom and a youngish Alice. Back in the present, there'll be several Salemites on hand to dig through the damage and salvage whatever remains. A quaint box will be set up, so DOL will unravel the riddle of what's inside once it's opened. At Statesville, Clyde will demand a face-to-face meeting with Stefan DiMera, so that may bring some exposures about just how dirty Stefan's playing. There's a good chance Stefan is the one who framed Xander, and he may have been at least kindly involved in Harris' life hanging fire, too. Stefan is keeping secrets from Ava and getting in deeper with Clyde, so further troubles ahead. Other days spoilers say Ava will formally again deliver a sincere plea by Harris' bedside. Could this be when Harris will eventually recapture knowledge? Still, that could give the police a chance to ask Harris questions during the week of February 26th March 1st, if so. Still, Harris has been through a great deal of trauma, so it wouldn't be surprising if he was hazy on who pulled the detector that night. Xander Cook was set up to take the fall, but he'll continue to have the support of Sarah Horton and Justin Kyriakis. Maybe Sarah could come up with some real evidence that goes against the planted substantiation or help jog Harris' memory in some way. There's always Marlena Evans, Deidre Hall, for another round of hypnotism if necessary. Days observers can also anticipate further fermentation when it comes to Constantine Meliunis and programmed John Black. It may not be long until Constantine's ready to spark the pawn again and deliver a terrible order that'll unleash some chaos. Steve will do his stylish to get relief of this Constantine problem, but that'll be easier said than done. Back with Stephanie, she'll have to make a decision about her future with Everett grounded on all the Bobby information that shells. Will Stephanie have faith in Everett and what she feels for him, or pump the thickets until she can make sense of all this? Anyhow, Jada will remain cautious of Everett and may try to move him to leave city permanently. Days of Our Lives spoilers say the coming 2 weeks will bring some wild stuff when it comes to the Bobby plot. Grief-stricken Ava prays, please let Harris live. Days of Our Lives and updates tease a grief-stricken Ava Vitali will supplicate in the sanitarium tabernacle as Harris Michaels fights for his life. He lost so important blood, the Croakers aren't certain they can save him, and this after Trip Johnson couldn't find a palpitation and got him back. Days of Our Lives ruinous deja vu when Ava set up Harris bleeding out in the alley behind the bistro. She kept her head about her long enough to call 911, indeed though Trip was formerly working on him. It brought ruinous deja vu of when her fiancé Jake DiMera was shot dead in her arms, his heart now beating in Stefan DiMera. Days of Our Lives grief-stricken Ava prays, please let Harris live. That was another incident caused by medicines. The shooter, a junkie who wanted the engagement ring Jake had just put on her cutlet but shot him anyway. After Rafe Hernandez asking a bunch of the usual questions of her and Stefan about the firing, Ava heads over to the sanitarium. And when she gets there, she goes to the tabernacle and prays. DOL Ava Vitali wishes she made different opinions. Ava wishes she made different opinions and went to the police for help right down when Clyde Weston blackmailed her, but she was hysterical for Trip. Ava knew that Clyde or his connections on the outside could kill her only remaining son and she couldn't survive that, so she grudgingly agreed. She and Harris were getting close and falling in love indeed also, after chancing Susan Banks together and bringing her back, which called off E.J. DiMera. Also, nearly as soon as they returned, Clyde informed her he demanded her to move medicines for him in the bistro, and transferred his gorilla to supervise. Now said gorilla has been replaced with Stefan, who's also being blackmailed. Days of Our Lives Ava Vitali lights candles in the sanitarium tabernacle. Ava lights candles in the sanitarium tabernacle and prays for Harris to live and also to find a way out of her mess. She includes Stefan and his mess as well. As long as Clyde isn't taken down permanently and has his network inside the captivity, no bone is going to be safe inside or out. Ava feels like Harris firing is all her fault. Clyde set up out that the two of them were involved and she knows it, and again she made bad opinions. Still, Ava wouldn't be suitable to forgive herself and she could veritably well lose all stopgap if Harris doesn't make it. She had hoped that Trip and Wendy Shin would move to China where there's stopgap of their safety, but now they still in peril, and for what? Teresa can't take it presently. Days of Our Lives end Valentine's Day week with Teresa getting tired of staying for Alex to pop the question and taking matters into her own, as usual, impulsive and ill-advised hands. Ask not what you can do for anyone but me. Ever since Teresa set up a ring box in Alex's jacket fund, she's been induced. The man she tricked into living with her has now been tricked into proposing to her. She was sure it would be Valentine's Day morning. When it didn't, she was sure it would be on their romantic walk. When it didn't, she was sure John and Marlena's lovey gushing would do the trick. That didn't work moreover. And now Teresa is furious. She demands that Alex spontaneously declare his desire to spend the rest of his life with her incontinently. And Leo makes four. Sloane has accepted that keeping Eric means putting up with the baby she stole and espoused. So, rather of making love with her hubby, Sloane agrees to some cozy family time. Just Sloane, Eric, and Jude. She didn't count on Leo making one of his unwanted, deeply annoying appearances. And yet he does. All around the town, while Wendy and Trip play their little scavenger quest, Stephanie reminds Everett that she still wants to double date with Rafe and her friend, Jada. Surely, Everett doesn't have any reason why he wouldn't want to meet Jada? Does he?